No, I was going to say, I think it what really stands out to me about your story is the fact that the whole story in the bathroom happened. But if you wouldn't have been prepared and if you wouldn't have basically been preparing yourself for years with that ambition and knowing what you wanted and going after it, working hard for it, it would have been worthless. And I think that goes to show that it doesn't really matter what opportunities fall in your lap. If you don't work your tail off for it and prepare for it, it doesn't matter if it falls in your lap. You're not going to be ready.
So you're like, it's equal. They're both equal, right? And what I want to say to you all is, if we had come in here and I just said, and I didn't say anything about this slide and anything about what I'm talking about, I just say, hey, Will, just tell your story a little bit. Every one of you, almost every one of you, you'd be leaning toward Will's free will. Be like, oh, it's his free will, it's his choices that mattered. Or you'd be leaning toward factors and forces that really he couldn't control. You'd be saying, oh, those are the most important things. But here we are in the space where I'm just hammering away to be like, no, it's got to be both. It has to be both.
I feel like in this very specific scenario, you were so driven from such a young age, and you kept going at it, and you kept going at it. We can talk about all the outer aspects of the things that drove you to it. You said you're from immigrant parents and so on and so forth. But because you kept going at it, you were locked in. You didn't stop. That's why I feel like it would be diminishing your hard work if you would say the opportunities just fell into your lap. You had to go out and grab it from somebody. You had to physically take it out of somebody else's hand.
Yeah.
Like, I get it that you say there's a certain level of chance that comes up to it when you are going to the restroom, you said?
Yeah.
And you found somebody. But I have no doubt, I mean, granted, I just met you, but if it wasn't that scenario, if you had attended your history class, then your teacher would have seen that this guy is not normal. He's obviously a few calibers above everybody else because of that drive. And that's why, regardless of that specific scenario, I feel like you would have gotten in. My question, if you don't mind me asking, is...
Go for it.
When you said that from a very young age, you knew what you wanted to do, and you knew that there was this responsibility that it wouldn't be possible for you to attend a university had you not gotten a full ride or a full scholarship. Obviously, there are certain traits that helped you physically, academically, your drive, so on and so forth. But do you think that this, if you don't mind me taking a slightly psychological trait to it, do you think that this ability of being an immigrant and being the fact that you have to take care of yourself, you have to take care of your parents, there's no backup plan, that it all relies on you, and the fact that because of this, it's the sense of fitting in, even that you said that you came to Penn State, but you thought you barely got in. You didn't think that you were of the caliber of a Streyer's honors college.
At the time.
Exactly, at the time, obviously. But do you think it's this lack of ability of seeing yourself fitting in that drove you to pursue greater heights?
Yeah, so the question is, do I think how I perceive myself influence my drive?
Yeah. Exactly. Is that...
This is good.
But here's the thing. The reason I really like your question, because your question underscores two important themes that I want people to really lock in, right? And pay attention to. Number one, you emphasized, and you as well, you emphasized my personal merit and drive. That's like, yo, listen, if you weren't ready for the opportunity to come, then you would have missed your chance. So you had to be ready. Number one. So that's really important, because right now we're talking about this importance of personal merit. But here's the thing. When it comes to personal merit, this is point two. You asked me, did certain factors, right, like how I saw myself influence my drive? When I reflect back on the choices that I've made and the things that I've done and where that's come from, a lot of things externally influenced that. Being the child of immigrants, being a young black male, being from a low-income community, feeling like the odds were stacked against me, feeling like I had to work twice as hard.
Yeah, but
in an unfair society, right? So this is I had this understanding from a really young age.
Yeah.
And this understanding was derived from how I understood and navigated the external factors that were that were shaping me.
Okay, but here,
Right?
but we got a problem
So-
here. No, but we got a problem.
Yeah, no, this is
You gotta
a good
explain
problem. This is a
this to
good
me.
problem to have.
No, listen.
So I had like an original question, but after hearing you two talk, I want to go in the direction of, is choice really free if you lack awareness? So like you talked about the program that was set up within like the inner city or sorry, not the inner, but like within Philadelphia. And if this choice is really free and if they work hard enough to overcome their circumstances irregardless, what if I didn't even like know that university was possible? Like,
Yeah.
what if you never immigrated and you never like you grew up
Yeah.
with a different culture? Like, and you can work as hard as you want. If we have specific areas that are so impoverished that either you lack awareness or it just doesn't feel possible,
Yeah.
do you have free choice?
Let me
That's
flip.
$1 million question, right?
Yeah, but I want to flip it. For many people in here, think about your family, think about all your friends, think about all your relatives. For how many of you was not going to the university an option? A realistic option. Yeah, I didn't really have to go. Everything would have been fine. Life would have gone on. Raise your hands really high. Dude, that's not many people, man. And then
Nah.
I'm going to ask you, is your being here, all of you people who didn't raise your hand, so following what he just said, is that really a choice? Was it a choice to come here? Like, so this is the intellectual side, right? So we're not making excuses.
We got them engaged. There's a lot of hands going.
Yeah, so like we're not making excuses. We're just saying.
I just want to say, like, with that, how you said, like, the opportunity, like, I don't really have to be here. Like, I could choose to walk out of these doors right now and say, like, oh, I don't want to be in college anymore. I could say, like, I don't want to be in college anymore. But also going off his question over there about, like, they don't know, like, the opportunities they have. Sometimes if you, with that free will, if you work hard enough, like, if you choose to get the good grades, if you choose to, get the good stuff, get into that good school, then sometimes, those opportunities will present themselves to you. So it all depends on, one, your situation and what opportunities are presented from that situation.
Okay, but listen, you just said something that I really need to go back. You have to restate this. You said if you choose to get good grades, if you choose to whatever, and what we've already set up here is, dude, you're standing on this side of that line right here, but you got to go back to this side because nobody just chooses to get good grades. You're also, every moment of your life is being shaped by other things, everything. So you are choosing and other things are happening. You see that, right? Like you understand, you got to be in both always at the same time. You have to be in both. Like
It's not an either or thing, and I think that's when I say like it becomes really lazy, right? Where it's like, oh, but I chose to get good grades, then I created opportunities for myself. Not really, man.
Look,
It's different.
I want to
Yeah.
show you this. This is average SAT scores by family income. This is 2013, but I just use that because the graphs are really nice. The SAT score is largely the best IQ score that we have and that we use. What's the intelligence of somebody? It's SAT, it's ACT. Look at how it goes up with family income. Those of you who scored well on the SAT, was it your choice to be born in a family that had higher income? That's things
Right.
that are happening behind the scenes that you don't even know about.
Or even more importantly, right? If we say that this is a choice, then how does the freedom of choice explain something like this? Do people who are richer just make better choices? Right? But then you got to take in the fact that these are kids, right? So if you believe completely in free will, then you have to say, how do we explain something that like income can predict how well you do on a test?
Yeah.
And if you're not able to explain that, I again go back to the idea that you're not thinking deep enough.
That's the best
Really?
one, right? If you choose to work really hard, if you choose to study really hard, if you choose, all the things in your mind, but still, one thing strangely that's operating behind the scenes is your family's income's actually facing this. Look, he is at the bottom, but he had high SAT scores. Okay,
Right.
that's fine. There are outliers. There are people who had high family income with low SAT scores.
Right.
That's all good too. But the point is, straddle these two things.
Gotta straddle 'em.
Never don't hold them together.
And I'm gonna say one last thing too. You got to straddle because I know we're starting to come to the end of this class, and there's a few good questions. The question I'm gonna ask again, I asked it before, is like, what is there to be lost if we understand that the things that we see, the choices that we made, or the outcomes in society in our life are not purely because of choice? Because when you ask me these questions and when I hear people responding to these conversations, it comes from a really defensive place, as if we're taking away your personal merit, as if we're taking away your hard work, as if we're taking away everything from you. And it's like, what is there to be lost?
Okay, and
Think about that.
You got to say one more. You got to say the other thing, though. You also have to say, and everything that you achieve is also because of your personal choice. You have to say that too. You have to say that. Yeah, because you just said the other, so you got to say the other side.
Yeah. Your personal choice, right? Just because you have opportunities, just because things impacted your personal choice, that does not take away your merit. But you also have to understand that your merit was allowed to actualize, right? Turn into something tangible.
Because of your choices.
Not only just because of your choices, but because your choices were met with opportunity. So it's not taking it away.
Okay,
right?
but also...
So it's like your choices matter, right?
But
the thing is, this is the both and. Your choices
I got
matter, but it's like, listen, for me, I know all the things that I've achieved was because of my personal choice, but and I also understand all the things that I've achieved came from somewhere. And the thing is, if you don't live in between both lines, you're not really living.
Yeah.
You're sleeping.
Whoa, hang on. Hang on. Dude, hang on. If you're not living between both lines, you're not really living. You're sleeping, dude. That's a Willism right there, man. All right. Do we have one from the street? Jennifer and Stephen both asked, how do we learn to keep trying after multiple failures? And how do you make a failure into a teacher instead of a dark place in your life? Dude, that's a thing. That's something that I would say.
Resilience?
This resilience that's very hard to teach. And a lot of those kids in your neighborhood or my neighborhood who didn't go to college, it's because you have these failures and you can't, it's hard to just keep going. You know what I mean? Like how do you do that? You just...
Well, this is a really good thing, right? Because here's the thing, resilience, some argue it's like, more so natural, which is, not a choice, but some argue it's also really learned, right? I lean in the camp that it's learned, right? But I'm actually going to go into a different camp right now, like the camp of psychology really quick. Any psych majors here? Has anyone heard of the phenomenon called learned helplessness? Yeah, y'all are really excited, right? So basically, for those who don't know, it's the idea that when you are met with continuous failure, obstacles, time and time again, what the research shows us is that most people will give up regardless of circumstance, income, race, whatever, right? It's learned helplessness. There's studies about it. You can look it up, right? So when we talk about this issue of resilience, we have to look at it from, yes, the choice perspective. It can be taught. We can be taught to use failure as lessons, right? But how do we teach resilience is about understanding external factors that allow people to become more resilient, the mindsets that allow people to become more resilient, and then generalizing that and spreading that away.
Okay, so here, I want to add something here, though. One of the really important messages of classical conservatism, right, is the idea that learned helplessness also comes from holding people's hands and helping them along and not giving them the opportunities to fail and then have to pick themselves up. And so we're constantly picking them up. So things like, a couple of weeks ago in here, we had a class and it was just titled Welfare. So people are like, welfare is teaching learned helplessness. It's like, what do you do? Go, man, you're going to have to just go. You got to keep going. You got to keep going. Free will and determinism, a Western way of thinking, focusing on social sciences. Yep. How does Daoism change this way of thinking? Listen, man, Whopper.
Part of a natural
Daoism changes it because you meditate on how free will and determinism are the exact same things. And it becomes who you are, and you don't even see the difference between free will and determinism, which is why Daoism is so valuable as a perspective.
Was it your choice or was it anyone's choice? For example, that your parents told you that you should strive to work hard. Was it their choice or because no one raised their hands, then that's what they're supposed to do? And for me, it's a question about causation versus correlation. So, for example, is the fact that all these immigrant parents have told us to work really hard simply a thing that was meant to happen, therefore it's not their choice? Or is it simply that all their factors aligned and they all made that same choice? Or when we said, was it really a choice to go to college?
Yeah.
Could I say, no, it's not a choice because all of us did it, so we all said we had to go? Or can we all say, we are all correlated in going to college, but it was a choice for every single person to go here?
Yeah, that's right, because there are other children of immigrants whose parents were hammering them to go to college, and they're not sitting in these seats. In fact, they didn't go to college.
So because something statistically likely doesn't mean that it wasn't a choice made by a person.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, what I'll tell you is like right now, you're asking good questions and you're thinking about this on a deeper level, right? And when we look at the data, that's the goal of sociologists and the social sciences, to like understand the data, to understand what's correlation and what's actually really causation. So I'll invite you to continue to think about that, right? If everyone makes the same choice, is that a chance?
How many people do you think use their situation as an excuse for not achieving things? Probably too many. Yeah, and we all do it. Like when you don't get an A, when you don't do really well on my exam, on the exam that's coming next Tuesday, when some of you don't do really well, you're gonna have a reason for it. Gonna have a reason, because it's really difficult just to say, man, I really screwed up. And like Sam said, if you study for this and you pay attention while you're watching videos and read, you're gonna do really well. But I didn't do really well, so you're gonna have a reason, because you are. And it's not necessarily even an excuse, but it's a reason. And once you put the reason out there, it can morph into an excuse very quickly. We all do it.
No, but it's like even the idea, even the word excuse, man, right? Like, I'm going to go back to the concept of excusiology, right? In psychology and the social sciences, we explain behaviors. And people are like, stop making excuses for people, man. They failed. And it's like, bro, we cannot be free unless we understand the things that cause behaviors.
Yeah.
Right? You're not free unless you're on this side of the line. If you really even try to be free.
No, you're not free if you're not on the line.
No, but I'm saying they're not even free if you haven't even stepped
if you never go back
here. You don't even understand what's on this side.
Yeah.
You think everything's a choice? Yo, you don't even know what real freedom is. If you think you're free, then you don't know what freedom is. And the thing is, this lecture isn't even long enough. Because I've studied this for 5 years here at Penn State because I loved it so much. You don't even know yet.
Yeah. You're, dude, I love that, man. I can't wait till Lori watches that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And it's like,
this is it. And this is where I struggle sociologically, because I talk about this stuff, especially talking about a race class and talking about these incredible income and wealth differences between groups, and people will sometimes critique me for practicing excusiology.
Yeah.
No, I'm just being a sociologist,
being
man.
a sociologist.
I want to know which ones of you, those of you who have drinking problems, you can't control your alcohol.
Right.
And I want to know, yeah, man, why is that? And someone would be like, because you're just an idiot.
Right.
And you don't know when to stop. And I'm like, no, it's not because you're just an idiot. Maybe you have a biological condition, predisposition toward alcoholism. Okay, but maybe there's some other things involved, and I want to know those other things. Okay, listen, man.
Let me.
You got to do your pitch.
I'm gonna do the quick pitch, but I want to end on a positive note, right? Because we had a whole conversation. I'm gonna do it in just a minute before I talk about the organization. So there's this concept in psychology called depressive realism. Right? In which the idea is that people who have a very accurate understanding of how unfair and unequal structurally the world is tend to be more depressed, right? And have this learned helplessness phenomenon. However, what I will say is what they find is you're better off believing in your personal merit, right? Even if it's an illusion, because the research shows that it will make you achieve better, it will make you more hopeful, and it will make you just have better life outcomes. Even if it's an illusion, right? So let me end on that note.
And let me tell you what the illusion is. Those of you who have credit cards from your parents and you use that credit card to buy things, your personal merit is an illusion, my friends. Okay? That credit card, you didn't earn that. You were given that, and you got it by chance.